And thank you so much for joining us for this special new program, All Angles Investigates. I'm Dion Jacksmiller. Now, Giovanni Dennis is producer and reporter on the program. Giovanni, what's this about?
So it's a program where we take a deeper look into an issue. The issue may not necessarily be in the current news or the news of the day, but we believe that it is important. The program will essentially focus on a special report in the first instance and then an interview thereafter exploring what is going on. This first episode is focused on work and the travel misfortune. Now, this would be instances where students would have paid money for agency fees, program fees to go and work on travel programs in 2019, 2020. Of course, this would have been the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so some of these students have been trying since then to get a refund. In doing this, realized that there were concerns about the contracts and how those relate to the law or go against what the law prescribes. So that's what we have.
Well, let's take a look.
Blurred at their request, but the plight of Shanice and her mother was as clear as the midday sky.
You can just imagine somebody who's not happy. He lose all at $315,000.
Here's how it happened. In 2019, Shanice's mother made her apply for a summer work and a travel program for the summer of 2020 because
She make me proud, so I say I like to send her on the work and travel program because I live in a one bedroom and it's not pretty. But she's just 20 years old and feel me and she live in the one bedroom, so I say she could go up and pay her school fee and we try to see if we can put her on a one bedroom.
the agency they signed up with is International Work and Travel Services, IWTS for short. The process started October 5, 2019, when Shanice signed this contract. The IWTS representative was Wayne Harrison. Page 2 of the 7-page contract states that Shanice would have to pay 1. Non-refundable agency and registration fees of $9,000. 2. $56,000 for an administration fee. And 3. A program fee of $224,000. Page 6. Total non-refundable fees of $65,000. Paragraph 3, Clause 24, non-refundable fees are not refundable under any circumstance, foreseen or unforeseen factor or act of God. Clause 26 speaks to students on a wait list not placed in a job. They will only be refunded 75% of the program fee paid to IWTS. These fees and clauses raise concerns we'll examine momentarily. But back to Shanice. She unpacked a suitcase of receipts of all payments made, just over $300,000. To raise the money, she and her mom borrowed and organized fundraisers, including a cake sale at UTech.
We had also put the cake in a space where we turn up the AC to full blast so we could get the cake fresh in the morning. And all of that gone down the drain.
Down the drain because the program was grounded in 2020 after the COVID-19 pandemic began. They were told to pay a further deferral fee of $43,000 in December 2020 to go on the program in the summer of 2021. Shanice paid using the only money she had left, the money set aside for her tuition for the upcoming semester. Having used up all her money, she had to take a leave of absence for the January to June semester of 2021. She was still not allowed on the program. She was told it was because of her forced leave of absence and that she would be required to pay more fees to go in the summer of 2022, this year. Disheartened at yet another delay, more fees, and now out of money, they requested a refund. But that hasn't happened. Hasn't happened because for the past 14 months, the IWTS representative Wayne Harrison has been difficult to reach.
I have tried to reach out to them via email and telephone about a refund, in which I have not gotten a response from any one of the persons that works at the work and travel agency.
You said you reached out to them by email and telephone. What happened when you reached out to them by telephone?
By telephone, which is WhatsApp, I was blocked, and for email, it is unanswered.
Shanice sought help from the Student Services Department at the University of Technology. Maurice Cahoon is the Career and Placement Officer.
It is unfortunate that there has not been a resolve to that situation, but I can say for sure that we did try to intervene.
The intervention scheduled Zoom meetings with Wayne Harrison from IWTS, but he pulled out of multiple meetings abruptly and has been difficult to reach even for Mr. Cahoon. Now, the university has written to Mr. Harrison,
requesting officially a final update as to the status of this situation. And then as soon as that is received, then we will evaluate, reevaluate, and see where we go from there.
Since last week, we have tried to reach Mr. Cahoon for an update, but he has not answered our calls or messages. In the meantime, for the single mother and daughter, it's an agonizing wait, each ticking second breaking their spirits.
I could have beat myself. I feel frustrated. I walk up on campus. I walk from building to building. My blood pressure went up high. I feel like I could have beat myself. You know, I say if I didn't know, but it's so awful. It's so. The same time, remember, it come like I'm getting. I went to get crazy. $315,000. So come said to me, say that could buy a car.
In dismay to know that you work so hard from small coming up, you want the opportunity to go abroad to even experience abroad or probably work to come back home to provide for your family or so. That is really in shambles right now because I have made preparations to raise over 300,000, cake sale, fish fries, etc. just to get the money to go, and then this is the outcome.
UTEC insists this is a rare occurrence, touting what it describes as a rigid system by the university that ensures work and travel programs are largely beneficial. Statistics from UTEC indicate only 3 refund roadblock reports in all of 2021 from the over 2,000 students that signed up for various work and travel programs. Still, Mr. Cahoon is displeased with how Shanice's case has been handled by IWTS.
I am of the view that in this particular situation, it could have been handled differently or better from the agency's perspective.
Shanice has taken the matter to court.
I have filed a lawsuit. I have a court date September 22nd.
But this refund rigmarole with IWTS is not limited to Shanice. We've made contact with 3 other students from different universities. Natalie Jackson of the College of Agriculture, Science and Education case, nearly $250,000 paid over. No refund. Sashoy Killia of Knox Community College, nearly $200,000 paid. No refund. And Brittany Buckley of the Caribbean Maritime University, $233,000 paid. No refund. All with similar concerns and similar evidence. Now to the issue of non-refundable fees. These raise concern because the regulations for the Employment Agencies Regulation Act, the law governing work and travel agencies, specifically addresses the agency charges and refunds. On fees, Section 10 subsection 1C of the regulation states, "No employment agency shall charge for its service any fee which, in respect of each placement of a client in employment outside Jamaica, exceeds $45,000. Subsection 2 further states, an employment agency shall refund no less than 3/4 of the fee paid for placement in employment outside Jamaica to any client who is refused permission to enter or work in the country in which that client wished to be placed in employment or whose application for any such employment is refused or cancelled for any reason. Now, let's apply this to the $65,000 non-refundable fees IWTS charges. For one, it's 44.4% more than what is legally allowed, which should be $45,000 for the local placement fee. And two, 75% of this $45,000 should be refunded if programs do not work out for any reason. Andrea Miller-Stennett oversees the department that deals with employment agencies at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Some agencies, have some little add-on charges. So some students probably will come to us and say, okay, I feel that, I'm being overcharged because I'm being asked to pay this enrollment fee in addition to registration fee, in addition to some other fee, so we do get that.
Is that something that concerns the ministry?
Well, when we see situations like that, we do call the agencies and talk to them about it, because we try as much as possible to have them operate in terms of what the legislation prescribes. When it comes to money especially, we try to get them to stick with the legislation.
So some of them are really trying to upcharge the students based on, because you say you have to call them to have conversations. You found in instances?
We try to find out, what's the meaning of these other fees? What are they for?
And what have you found?
Well, we have found that in some cases, not everybody is able to explain why they're charging, additional fees.
Under the Employment Agencies Act, the Labour Ministry has jurisdiction for agency charges in Jamaica, but not for sponsors' charges overseas. To be clear, the fees students pay have two components, a portion that goes to the local placement agency and then the overseas sponsors' charges, which is the larger portion. The ministry says it also helps students to recoup funds paid to overseas sponsors.
The $45,000 that was paid and prescribed by the legislation has been refunded. Maybe it is now the sponsors that there's a problem with. We could try to mediate to say, okay, how can you go back to the sponsors to try and get back some money for these students? Because as you know, we don't have any jurisdiction over what the sponsors do.
The U.S. Department of State regulates the Bridge USA programs under which student work and travel programs fall. They designate and monitor private sponsors of these programs. A State Department official told me refund policies vary from sponsor to sponsor, noting crucially that sponsors are responsible for the actions of third parties with whom they work, including overseas agents. Applicants may seek a refund from either the sponsor or the sponsor's third party, depending on which organization charged the fee. Often, the timing of the refund request determines the amount of the refund and from which organization. So, if and when the overseas sponsors return their fees to the local agency, those monies should be returned to students. The State Department official told me that during the pandemic, sponsors or other third parties gave refunds according to their refund policies, and in some cases, applicants were able to renew their application in a later year without some fees. Which begs the question, did IWTS's US sponsor return their program fees or even a percentage of it? And if so, why weren't the students refunded anything at all? Still to come.
In a sense, these students are being made a fool of.